So I'm at the zoo, walking around, looking at the animals. Kind of a nice Saturday afternoon. And at this particular zoo, they had a little arena where they had shows. And so I go check this show out, and there's this little guy riding this little bicycle. And he kind of reminded me of the Burger King guy with the Burger King face on, except he had a slightly different face. He also kind of looked like Jigsaw from those movies. And he starts riding around and doing all these tricks, but then he started doing some really, really crazy stuff. Like he would ride up this ramp that would send him almost vertical straight up in the air, and he would not, I was expecting that he was gonna flip around in the air and then land back on the ramp, but he didn't do that. He just went straight up in the air, and he came slamming down onto the ground like splat, like a really loud thud. And everyone thought, oh my God, the guy messed up, the guy died, the guy miscalculated or something. But then he got up and shook himself off and got back on his bike and started riding around. And the guy, when he went up in the air, he was 20, 30 feet up there. And everyone was sure he had at least broken some bones, but he kept doing that over and over and over again. And every time the crowd was almost kind of expecting a big thud, and they were wondering what the hell was going on. And then this idea dawned on most of the people that were watching this weird demonstration, that this guy wasn't quite human, that he was some kind of, not alien, but some kind of maybe a robot or something. But if he could fly up in the air like that and land and not die, and if he decided to turn on the crowd, we would be helpless because we couldn't kill him, because this guy obviously can't die. And he looked at the crowd and he went whoosh, and both his hands turned into chainsaws, and he started running around and chopping people up, chopping off heads and slicing people open. And these chainsaws were made out of this really strange metal that was stronger than any other metal that was being used in any of the equipment at the zoo. And he started cutting through the cages and the bars, and all the animals started getting out, and he started slicing the animals up, and he was slicing open the big bellies of the elephants, and all the guts and the peanuts were pouring out, and people were running around just horrified, and this guy was just slicing people up. And I was hiding behind this group of palm trees, and this lady next to me started telling me about the time she was on this cruise ship, and they ran out of, something happened with the engines. They didn't run out of gas, but something was wrong with the electrical generator, so they were just kind of adrift in the middle of the ocean. But because they were on some kind of a weird intersection of international waters, and this one country that had this border that didn't like anyone in their water, so they weren't able to be rescued for some reason. So they kind of floated around without any power for 2 weeks, and they ran out of food, and they ran out of water, and they started killing each other and eating each other. They turned into cannibals. And I said, lady, this is not the best time to tell me about your cannibal cruise, because there's this little dude that looks like Mr. Burger King riding around chopping people up with his chainsaws. And so I went and I ran home, and then I realized that when I got home, I had spent $5 for those pictures when you go on the rides and they take your picture when you come down to the scariest part of the ride, and you go pick your picture up. I paid $5 to have my picture taken, but I didn't go back and get my picture, so I ended up wasting $5 that day. I don't really remember what happened after that. I didn't find out, I didn't check the newspapers, but I'm never going back to that zoo again.